What's going on, people? Welcome back to Nick J. Francis' channel once again. And Arsenal have just dropped 2 points to Brentford, and it is 2 points dropped. I don't care what anybody says. This was a must-win game. Every game is a must-win game. It's super important that after a loss we bounce back. It's one of the main strengths that we've had under Arteta. When we lose, we tend to bounce back with wins, and we have failed to do that on this occasion. And we had more than enough opportunities. We started the game very, very slowly, very lackluster. Towards the end of the first half and straight into the second half, we were extremely dominant and much more of the type of football that I want to see us playing. And Brentford were good. You know, Brentford are in that mix of Brentford, Brighton, Fulham, the sort of overachieving smaller clubs. So they are the three tough clubs to beat outside of the top six at the moment, with Liverpool and Chelsea underperforming this season. Brentford, Brighton, Fulham have become, you know, the teams that take up that mantle. And it was so frustrating the way that we lost it. It was Aaron Ramsdale mistake again, very similar to the Manchester United game, flying out of the box and making a bit of a hash of it from set pieces. It seems like sometimes with Ramsdale, when we are dominating the game and we're dominating the ball, he wants to get involved too much. You know, it's like he almost gets bored. He wants to get involved. He wants to do something for the cameras, and he just needs to play a bit more of a conservative game. At the end of the day, we're a team that play the ball out from the back. As a goalkeeper, he'll get a lot of opportunities to play the ball. They didn't have that many shots. They had 9 shots in total. We had 23. They had 2 shots on target, one of them being the goal, and we had 7. You know, so we are much the dominant team, 70% possession to 30% possession. And this is what these teams are going to do. They're going to come and try to sit in a low block and shut us out, and that's pretty much, and try and catch us on the counter, and that's really all they're going to try and do. You know, we know Ivan Toney's a fantastic player, Brian Mbeumo is a fantastic player. Brentford have a lot of talent, but it's our job to find out, to work out, how do we get around that? How do we get around that low block? How do we get goals? How do we create opportunities? In the first half, we just didn't have sufficient answers to those questions. But in the second half, we did. And like I say, we just gave away a really sloppy goal. It comes from a corner, the ball's bouncing around everywhere, and Aaron Ramsdale comes out of his 6-yard box towards the corner flag to flap at the ball, misses it completely, and then it's an easy goal for Ivan Toney to tap in. Really frustrating. Really frustrating. We should be going into this Man City game 8 points clear. Instead, we're 6 points clear, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world, but we should be going in 8 points clear as far as I'm concerned. We've dropped 2 massive points. So it's really frustrating. Really frustrating that we can't start the game. If we can start the game a little bit brighter, a little bit more aggressive, and then get a goal early, this should be a 2-0, maybe even a 2-1. But really, you know, this team, to me, we should have beat this team 2-0 today. You know, I don't even really think it should have been 2-1. The goal was a stupid goal to give away from our own mistakes, and I think we should have beaten this team 2-0. So it's it's a really poor result from a hard day's work. But onto the positives. You know, I was covering the West Ham Chelsea game earlier on DR Sports. If you want to go check that out, go and check that out. And I was covering it on DR Sports, and one of the criticisms I gave Graham Potter is that they started off quite strong, Chelsea, and at halftime they just didn't come out looking as strong. They dropped off a little bit. And the West Ham fan I was on with, Dan, said the same thing about West Ham, is that he doesn't really feel confident that in the second half they're going to come out and show more than they did in the first half, because Moyes isn't that type of manager, in his words. And to me, that's the confidence I have in Arteta. I felt very confident going into the half-time. Okay, the second half, we're going to see something. We're going to see a change. We're going to see more, at least for the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half. We're going to see more of a drive, being more direct, etc. 60 minutes in, he brings on Trossard for Martinelli. Martinelli looks a little bit off the pace at the moment. He looks a bit lost for ideas. He's not quite up to speed with the rest of the play. And it's Bukayo Saka again. That boy Bukayo Saka darting in at the back, you know, playing a 1-2 with Ødegaard, driving the ball across the box, and Trossard getting a tap in on the other side on the back post. And that's what we need to do. We need to be comfortable playing football in tight spaces. I know it's a really difficult thing to do, probably the most difficult thing to do, but it's really important that we play the ball in tight spaces. So those are the positives. We've got a really good goal. Trossard looks really sharp, and Arteta again making the right decisions at the right times, and swapping out Martinelli for for Trossard. And then obviously also, you know, putting Fabio Vieira on. It was good to see Fabio Vieira getting first team minutes in a competitive game like Brentford, to see how he can fare with that midfield. Granit Xhaka was a little bit quiet today. He'll have other days where he bosses the midfield. I thought Thomas Partey was really good today, really, really slick. You know, just controlled the game, didn't make too many mistakes. Going forwards as well as defensively, which, you know, defensively I have question marks about him sometimes, but he was really good today. He definitely deserved to be on the winning side. And Bukayo Saka doing what Bukayo Saka does. For me, man of the match would probably be Martin Odegaard. You know, the way this guy just controls the tempo of the box, you know, the opposition box, in and around the 18-yard box. He's so dangerous. He's linking passes up together. You know, looking at the way Odegaard's playing football right now, I'm so excited to see Gabriel Jesus come back. You know, once Gabriel Jesus comes back, it's going to be crazy, because Nketiah can get goals, he presses, he does a lot of good stuff for the team, but that link-up play is still missing. There's something missing in there, and for me, Jesus, Saka, Trossard, Odegaard in the 10, that front four could be really, really special. When they're all playing on form, we have yet to see Trossard link up with Gabby Jesus because of his injury, so I think that four could be really exciting. And then I think Martinelli may be coming off the bench, you know, with fresh legs and you know, kind of coming off with a bit of that hunger in him and something to prove. I think he signed the contract. I think there's definitely been a bit of a loss of, I need to prove myself. Maybe there's a little bit of complacency there, and we need to get him back to wanting to prove himself. So I think a game where he doesn't start could really send the right message. We've got games coming up against Man City, and it's going to be really interesting to see who is going to start in that left wing position against Man City. I thought Bukayo Saka was fantastic today. Quiet first half, but like I say, the second half and the last 15 minutes of the first half, he really showed what he can do, and obviously got the assist as well. Eddie Nketiah, frustrating game again for him. You know, he does what Nketiah does. He closes. He's actually starting to play some better link-up football, some slick 1-2s here and there, but he's got to be more mobile. He does it, but he's very much plays like a target man and bounces the ball off. He's got to stop moving. Gabby Jesus moves left, moves right, out to the... He's all over the place, and Odegaard's all over the place, and Eddie's quite fixed. And sometimes that can be a good thing because you need a focal point, but sometimes I think adding a little bit more movement to his game... You look at the goal he scored against West Ham, where he's dropping deep, receiving, setting up attacks, and then takes it on the half turn, spins around Kehrer, gets the goal. That's what we need. When Eddie Nketiah is moving in and around, I think that's a good sign of where his confidence is at. When he's moving all over the pitch, you can see he's confident. And when he's not moving all over the pitch, and he's quite static, you can see that confidence isn't quite there. And we need him in top form. Moving, confident Eddie Nketiah could be a real problem. But this static, typical number 9 hold-up play is just not what we need, especially when we've got so much movement around him against a team like this, like Brentford, who are going to sit deep. Whenever Eddie receives the ball, he's going to have so many bodies around him. It's going to be really, really difficult to actually create anything, and he's not the best finisher to sort of pull off a half chance and pull a goal out of nowhere. You know, we want to be creating quite clean-cut chances for him. Shots from the edge of the box were a problem for me today. I wasn't happy with... You know, I was glad we were shooting from the edge of the box, but we weren't testing the keeper enough. A lot of the shots from the edge of the box were quite speculative, flying over the bar. We've got to test the goalkeeper. Again, with someone in there like Eddie, who is going to press everything, try and get onto second balls. Xhaka, Partey, they've got to be having some shots on target. Test the goalkeeper, test the goalkeeper. If they're looking up for a pass and the pass isn't on, test the goalkeeper again. You know, so I think for me, the good news is that I think it's a good point, but the real takeaway for me is that there's still a level to go in this team, which I said before. That's why it doesn't feel like the title-winning team, because it feels like there's a level, maybe even 2 levels to go to come out of this team, and actually they're not playing at their optimal level just yet, which is actually quite an exciting prospect when you think you've got Smith Rowe to come back from injury, Reece Nelson to come back from injury, Gabby Jesus to come back from injury, and potential signings in the summer. But just for this season at the moment, you know, we need Gabby Jesus back to get us back to playing our top football. I still think we play better football with him in the team than Nketiah. And roll on to the next game. Because we've bounced back with a draw. You know, it might not feel like a bounce back, but Brentford are a really, really tough team to beat. They're in contention for European football, which is just amazing for a club of Brentford's size. It's not the end of the world, and based on the actual game that we played, I think we deserved a win. I do think it's just Ramsdale's mistakes let us down a little bit there, and obviously if we get another goal at the other end, it doesn't make too much of a difference. But overall, some real positives to take and some real negatives as well, and that's what it is with a draw, obviously. But I'm confident that we can take the positives and build on that and start to reduce the negatives as much as possible, and then we can get back to winning ways. And a game at Man City, what a game that will be. Like I said, if we can get 4 points from the 2 games at Man City, I believe we can win the league. Everything is there for us. It's very possible. It's very doable. We have to start taking points away. We've beat Man United. We need to beat Man City. We beat Man City, we're going to be in such a strong position to go into the final run for this team. But that's all I got time for now. For me, Martin Ødegaard is man of the match. Again, it seems to be him or Saka pretty much every week. Let me know who you think man of the match is, and I'll see you on the next one.